program that we have is our supervised visitation center. So if someone is dealing with domestic violence and there are children involved and they need a supervisor for one parent or the other to visit the children, or if there needs to be a supervised exchange of the children between partners who are having domestic violence issues, we offer that service as well.
Okay, great. And do you have a website or a phone number that you can give out for
Absolutely.
people who are listening
who
may need that?
Our website is www.wrcdv.org, and that stands for Women's Resource Center Domestic Violence. And we have a daytime number Monday through Friday where you can come into the office or just talk to us during the day. That's 404-370-7670. And we have a 24-hour number that's answered from our safe house. So if you need just to talk, or if you need shelter, or if you need to make arrangements to leave the area because you're dealing with violence and you're feeling afraid, you call 404-688-9436, and that can be evenings, weekends, anytime, 24/7.
Okay. And now let me ask you something. What is the definition of domestic violence?
Well, there's many definitions, but I think the most important thing to remember about it is that it's a systematic kind of oppression where one person in the relationship decides, based on nothing other than their past beliefs and their past experiences, they decide that they're going to be in charge, that they're going to be the one who is making all the major decisions and setting the rules for the family. And that is a dangerous dynamic because essentially people are free. But in a relationship where there's domestic violence, people are denied their basic human rights to think and have their own opinions, to go where they need and want to go, to talk to whom they want to make their own decisions about what they wear and how they wear their hair, just basic things. One person in the relationship is controlling everything.
Right, exactly. And now let me ask you this. During the courtship stage, what are some signs that a woman can look for that may indicate that a man could be an abuser or a potential abuser? Okay.
There's several that most of us know, but one that isn't often spoken about is the idea that someone is falling in love or trying to get you into a relationship that's serious and kind of nailed down real fast. If it's not a slow process of getting to know one another and feeling love and attraction and affection, if it's not that, if it's real fast, that's a red flag that this person isn't really interested in, respecting you, but rather interested in, getting you hooked in and then maybe exploiting or hurting you. That's one. Another red flag might be any sign of someone being critical, always putting you down, emotional abuse kinds of things. And that's, I guess that's not exactly a red flag. That is a part of domestic violence. But jealousy that seems to be coming from nowhere. When they begin to monitor at all anything you're doing around your phone, your text messages, the websites you're visiting, these are all things that you want to watch out for. If they've had a history of violence, we can't think that just because now this person is with us that we can change them. Usually the violence is deeply rooted, and for that person to really change, they need to have to be committed to making a transformation and enter into a program. There are family violence intervention programs. They have to make a commitment, sort of like a person who is deciding not to be abusing alcohol anymore, making a daily commitment. In the case of alcohol, it is to be clean and sober. But in the case of using violence to control a partner, it's making a commitment to nonviolence, making a commitment to recognizing the freedoms and rights of another, and to truly behave with respect, understanding that even though you might not like it, someone could choose to leave you and go in another direction in their lives, but you can't control them. That's as if you're trying to keep them as a prisoner. We have to remember that people are free to make decisions.
Right. And Sinead J has a question for you as well.
Okay.
I wanted to know, or maybe you can answer this for those who do need help. Is there a place that you all recommend for them to go, like a home or a shelter for women who need to get out of the relationship, a place where they or their children can go?
Well, absolutely. The first thing, I'm going to put out the number for the state of Georgia. It's 1-800-33-HAVEN, Haven. Any place in Georgia, if you call that number, you can get connected to an agency that offers services like the ones we offer. And we serve people from anywhere in Georgia and all over the world, but we're not the only people doing this work. We work together so that we can serve as many people anyone who is in need. So, for example, if someone would call that number, 1-800-33-HAVEN, and they say, I live in DeKalb County, then they would give them the Women's Resource Center phone number, and you would call, and I would answer the phone, or another one of my coworkers would answer the phone, and we would begin to explore options. We don't tell people what to do, but we say, these are your options, and we want to be respectful of your decisions, and we want to walk with you through this process.
Okay, and Kim, let me ask you this. How can a victim leave an abusive situation safely? What are some tips that you would offer?
Well, it's very important to know that any kind of leaving, whether it's this person who's been using violence senses an emotional disconnect, whether this person that's using violence is now seeing that the partner is, changing losing weight, changing the hair, getting a new job. If a person sees a separation and a disconnect, or if the person actually physically leaves, the violence ramps up, and this is the most dangerous time. So to leave a violent relationship takes planning. Now, sometimes people, they need to absolutely, just go and then be safe anywhere, call, and get connected to resources that can help. So sometimes that means calling the police. Sometimes it means calling a safe house, to have those numbers memorized, to be ready in case you need to. But if you're going to leave, it takes planning. We do what's called safety planning with people who are trying to leave and get away from a violent relationship for their safety. And that's multifaceted, everything from, collecting your important documents to having a little money aside, getting prepared if you're leaving and you have to take children, to, have school records. Get the pieces in place so that you can leave safely. And simple things like try not to be alone. Try not to be by yourself. And don't assume that this person that is supposedly loves you, don't assume that they're not capable of something that's quite dangerous, because sometimes it does sort of come out of the blue. Generally speaking, it's a slow escalation of violence where we have, things that seem minor that after a while become extremely oppressive and dangerous. Some of the time, though, it's you just have to go and you have to try to be around someone where you can make the call to an agency like ours.
Okay, and then let me ask you this. What are some legal issues that may arise when a victim is trying to flee? For example, can a woman flee to another state without consequences if there's children involved?
Well, the thing about children, if you're married to someone and you have children together, then those children are yours and your partner's. And either of you could go someplace with the children. There could be a legal issue if it's an extended period of time, because it's not okay for you to, for example, go to another country or another state forever, because that would be a violation of the law. However, if you are unmarried and there has been no legal legitimation of children, even if the person, let's say there's a father who signs a birth certificate and is there in the hospital in Georgia, that still doesn't make that man a legal father. If there's violence involved and the woman leaves with children who are not legitimated, the children are the result of being with a man whom she is not married to, then those children are 100% legally hers. And it would be okay for her to go into hiding, to leave the area completely without that.
Okay, and I have another question for you as well, Kim. Are restraining orders really effective? Because you see on TV, you read in the media how women have restraining orders against abusive boyfriend or husband.